everyone. I'm Kim Graves. This is Jessica Ausbrook, and we're from Solidarity Community Federal Credit Union, and this is The Ripple Effect.
Hello.
Hello. How in the heck are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Grand. Can't complain.
I'm good. I'm glad that you can't complain. I'm sure there's one thing you can complain about, right?
Nope.
Nothing?
Just
All right.
happy.
I like a very positive attitude as we get you moving. We have a very special guest with us this morning. Michel Hopsapple is here from the Family Service Association. He is the Nonviolent Education Coordinator. Did I get that right? Nonviolence Education Coordinator, Michel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what you do with the Family Service Association.
Well, I'm ostensibly referred to as the director of our program, but I functionally serve as one of 4 facilitators overseeing the program, and we provide a service of educational information that consists of 26 sessions for individuals that are commonly court-ordered to participate in once they've been arrested for or convicted of a domestic violence event. Not only in our county, but we've extended our scope now through other parts of the state.
So is this a program that runs all year?
It does, and the program is specifically designed. It's borrowed from one of the most widely recognized and most commonly used throughout the world, known as the Duluth Model, and it's a 26-week designed circular program that no matter what week someone joins us, during a course of 26 weeks, the curriculum will revolve, and that individual will be exposed to the entire curriculum so they can enter at any particular part of the time, rather than having to have people, if you will, in the waiting room or standby for a start period.
Now, are we looking at mostly men? Are there women in these classes too? Who are everybody's affected, I imagine?
Well, domestic violence is principally a male-dominated offense and criminal function, but there are women's groups because women have and can commit acts of violence and domestic violence, of course. But comparatively, we have far more men involved in our program. We currently have 4 women's groups, whereas we have approximately 10 ongoing each week of our men's group.
That's a lot.
Domestic violence, I would suggest, unbeknownst to most people throughout the country, domestic violence is probably the most pervasive and pernicious crime problem. It has a cloak of invisibility. It happens behind closed doors. Typically, it's one of the least reported criminal offenses. So it does occur.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, very, very commonly.
Is there anything that proves that this program is very effective?
Well, this is a very controversial concept in the field of study of this subject. The Duluth Model itself has been studied over time, and it's considered itself one of the few viable programs, one of the few effective programs that is capable of resulting in change of behavior of the participants. Our particular program, which was first initiated, as I suggested, nearly 20 years ago by Judge William Minges, was somewhat specifically tailored to our community by the judge himself. And he had researched this and coordinated with the folks up in Duluth, Minnesota, the origin of the Duluth Model.
That makes sense.
Therefore, its name. And
That does.
Yeah.
And when we were first in operation under his supervision, and all the cases at that time were being supervised exclusively through his court. And I want to emphasize the importance of this. At that time, we had a a college intern, an incredibly intelligent young woman and a very ambitious one that was willing to help us. And she conducted a recidivism study, and recidivism itself can be somewhat of a daunting task to undertake. But she did a study, and we had the lowest recidivism rate comparatively across the country.
It's incredible.
Here in Kokomo, Indiana. What had happened over the course of time, however, and is presently the situation we're in, is that those cases have now been dispersed and are now assigned. So, for example, and this is just to illustrate the reality. If one is arrested on Monday, they go into one court, Tuesday on the next court, Wednesday a third, and Thursday a fourth, and Friday the fifth. And so now we have a multiple of judges that we're working with. Each has their own judicial temperament.
That's a nice way to say it.
Well, I want to, honestly, I do want to be respectful.
Oh, sure.
Sure,
Yeah,
I understand that.
And I'm sincere about that because I've worked with most of them personally in different capacities, and I do have respect for them.
So do we. I just want to make that clear.
And I understand the difficulty of their jobs, but the reality is, I would love to advocate for, in essence, a return to the type of form that we had under Judge Minges, which in effect, when you think about it, if you're at all familiar with how our judicial system functions, he was well in advance of his day in creating what was probably one of the first problem-solving courts here in our community. Those have now become rather common and very successful. So we have those, for example, with veterans courts. We have those now, for example, with drug courts.
And that was Judge Menges' program, right? Drug
yes,
court? Yeah.
Right.
Yes, and mental health courts and so forth. And I generally just believe that it's a question of arousing enough community interest so that there's more than just a single voice trying to raise this awareness and create an interest on the part of our judicial system trying to turn the judicial system as like turning a aircraft aircraft carrier. A friend of mine once suggested that's not an easy task. He knew more about aircraft carriers than I do, but he said they don't turn on a dime.
No.
And I think that metaphor was probably an appropriate one, because the criminal justice system certainly does have certainly sort of lags behind at times and follows its own traditions. But we would benefit so much more if we could regain that type of problem-solving style. For this reason, it creates accountability for the offenders.
Sure.
We currently have, throughout this court structure presently, we'll have individuals that have been court-ordered to attend our program. And because we have such a broad structure, there's times that we're not communicating very effectively, that we're not hearing directly that they're coming to us. We have to sort of research that on our own. And we have very limited staff to do this, so it takes a great deal of effort. And I want to take a moment here in a moment to give credit to those folks that do this for us. But what we find out is that there are individuals that have been arrested or convicted, have been court-ordered, and 2 years later still haven't shown up for our program. Wow. And that's just almost unconscionable, given the seriousness and significance of the problem of domestic violence.
Do they go to jail for not showing up for the program?
Well,
I mean, if they're ordered.
To illustrate again, when Judge Minges managed this system,
right,
individuals were given 72 hours
to sign up,
to report to our program and to sign up, if you will. Then we could create an allowance for them. Okay, you have a few days to start,
right,
initially, but you had to report. If that didn't happen, he issued a warrant for their arrest.
Okay. Okay.
Now we just I don't think it's malice. I don't mean to suggest that at
Right,
all.
right.
Different.
I just think people they fall through the cracks of the system, and that's what's lost. And to sort of circle back to your very important question, without this kind of accountability, there really is very little effective change in true abusive behavior. Now, the range of behavior in domestic violence can be, I was an educator as well as a law enforcement officer, and I use a ruler as a common instrument of instruction. And so you can imagine domestic violence ranging from 0 to 12. And 12 is the most horrific stories that we see in headlines and have happened in our own community, where typically a woman is murdered and or her children. Closer to 0 are typical arguments between two partners or intimate people in an intimate relationship or family structure, according to the definition of the crime under Indiana law, who simply lack the information on how to maintain and structure a healthy relationship. Those are two very different challenges. And Judge Minges understood that. He had a real grasp of this challenge and this problem. The educational intervention for the broad number of people that are ineffective in structuring and maintaining healthy relationship is rather positive and rather good. And we hear it all the time. We hear feedback from people. Why didn't we have this in 5th grade? I wish we would have had this sooner.
So many, like interpersonal communication, right?
This would have been so much helpful for us, and this is going to help. And Kokomo is a rather small pond, and we're out and about in the community, and myself and my fellow facilitators, we see folks that we work with some regularity. They come up to me. And I've had people come up and give me a hug when I'm with my children. Michael, it's so good to see you. I want to introduce you
love that.
To my partner. And of course, when my children were younger, you obviously know what they're going to say. Who is that, Dad?
Yeah.
And you don't, our purpose of our program was never designed to shame anyone.
Sure.
So you don't, these people are in trouble, and this is a friend of mine.
Yeah. And they grow to be, I imagine.
And you're trying to rehabilitate folks, give people a second chance.
Will you applaud them for things that they've accomplished?
Of course.
I mean, that's a big hurdle. They may have been going on with something in their life at that time that created
positive reinforcement.
Right.
And people
so
model
much
what
more
they see.
effective.
I mean, they model what they see. If they grew up in a home that they saw domestic violence, then there's a chance that they could.
Well, that's exactly
Right.
That's exactly it. Of course, the three major influencers in our lives, of course, for each one of us is biology, which people can argue that politically all they want, but they might as well buy a biology book and set it in front of them and argue with it.
Preaching to the choir, Michael.
I mean,
biology.
I know.
Then nurturing.
Yep.
Is a very powerful influencer on us, and then environment. And we have an environment that increasingly influences violence. We know that. Look at the horror we just recently saw on television. Millions, thousands witnessed it in person, and millions have witnessed it since. Children have been impacted by it.
I honestly would love to see somewhere that shows the people that participated in your class how effective that was. I mean, are they doing better? Are they back in court because they're doing worse?
It sounded like good.
I mean,
study,
it
right?
sounds good from the study, but I'm just kind of curious because here's why. I mean, domestic violence, it's always going to be an issue, not a major issue. But for some reason, I think it's became more of an issue during COVID or after COVID.
Oh, of course it was.
And I think it's kind of flared up.
Well, please permit me, it is a major issue.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
1 in 15 children in America are going to be impacted directly by domestic
1 in
violence.
15?
1 in 15. And it is the least reported criminal event, the least.
It's the person you love.
Because these things are kept quiet, or in the worst cases of abuse, people are fearful of reporting it for a host of reasons, not the least of which is physical reprisal, but also economic dependence and fear of relocation. And
Death.
How does someone with 3 children without a penny in their pocket leave at 2 o'clock in the morning when there's 2 inches of snow on the road? And I mean, it is so complex, but it is so far-reaching. Again, I just have to emphasize, we lose sight of this because, and you folks, I know, are more alert to this than maybe many people that pay less attention. Our media pays attention, the expression, what bleeds leads. We pay attention to shootings. We pay attention to the drug crisis. We pay attention to gang activity. This is happening constantly.
Yeah.
Years ago, when I was a law enforcement officer, and I'm happy to suggest I was very fortunate because I think I policed in Kokomo during the golden years. We had a police chief named Lynn Rudolph, followed by Charlie Hack.
Yeah.
I think 2 of the finest that we've ever had. And Roger Payne, Steve Daly as mayor, and Bob Sargent as mayor. And I'm very fond of Tyler Moore, by the way, and I don't mind saying that on the record. I think he's a great guy.
You think so too? We did not ask that question, by the way.
No, I volunteered it because I see these politicians under fire for trying to do their best, and politics, people attack each other, and we have too much of this. But my point is simply this: years ago, we were so coordinated in this community, and I want to emphasize this. We were so coordinated in this community that if a Kokomo police officer went to the home of a reported domestic violence incident with a child, the next morning that child's teacher knew we'd been there.
Yep.
That's how integrated and connected we were, because that child shows up at school and is either acting out or is falling asleep or doesn't show up. And that
or is
problem
hungry.
and that
Sad.
and it's sad and hungry, all the emotional range that one can imagine. And as you described, that cycle just persists over and over and over and over. So this goes on and on. And if you'll permit me, I wanted to circle back as well. I mentioned we only have four facilitators. 3 of us are full-time, one is part-time. And I say this modestly, and I hope it comes across this way, and I hope you
We'll
accept
tell you if it doesn't. How about that?
I thank you. I hope
We'll beep you out.
That's right.
beep-
I better watch it.
Yeah, they beep me all the time, so we
Yeah.
can beep you.
beat me, or kick me in the shin.
You're closer.
But we have 3 full-time facilitators
Okay.
and 1 part-time. First of all, the other 3 are women, so they're obviously smarter than me. And I learned.
We didn't say that.
I did. And,
You knew it walking in.
And I learned from each of them constantly. But each of the 4 of us have advanced college degrees. Each of the 4 of us had taught at the university level. Each of the 4 of us have real-life experience. It doesn't get any more real than what I've seen
I bet.
in 27 years of policing. It doesn't get any more real than 2 of my colleagues who are marriage and family counselors who've dealt with the heartbreak of dealing with families that are torn apart by domestic violence. One of our facilitators is a member of the criminal justice faculty at Indiana University.
Wow.
That is unheard of in this particular business, to have that kind of talent focused. And again, I give great credit to Judge Bill Minges. He handpicked the beginning of this years ago. I happen to be one of the 4. I'll let him.
Oh, you're bragging now.
I'll let him explain why he picked me. It was him and Don Ridenauer, and Judy Dennis was at the time the Family Service Association transitional director.
I remember Judy. Yeah.
Don Ridenour was going out, and Bill was trying to negotiate. Judge Mingus, he's a friend of mine, but Judge Mingus was trying to negotiate where are we going to house this project if we get it underway. And he handpicked 4 people, and that's what he wanted. He wanted people that no one's going to sit in the classroom and say, well, you're all a bunch of eggheads. And yeah, you may have read some books, but you really don't know what you're talking about. Nor did he want anyone to say, well, yeah, you seem like you think you know something, but you really haven't studied it. Well, we've done both.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I would just hold any of us up as genuine experts in the field. And we're trying to address a program where our community loses sight of the fact we've had a number of women murdered in our own community.
Yeah,
Right.
we sure have.
As a consequence of domestic violence. And again, the children that have been harmed by this, that are just, they're unrecognizable to the naked eye, to the people on the street. That's why these efforts to have October is the month of recognition for domestic violence and sexual assault and awareness. Both are among the least reported criminal events for, I think, obvious reasons. That we've got to create more awareness.
Yeah.
And
we got to believe people when they tell us things.
Oh, we have to. Yeah, absolutely. We have
definitely
to
do.
bring belief.
Michael, I do want to mention that most of the time when we're talking about domestic violence, it's the women that are like, hey, let's stop this. Let's stop this. It is nice to also have a man who's standing by us that says, hey, this is wrong. Don't do this. We know most men know that, but some people still do it.
Well, I know a good number of men, honestly, that, and I've been influenced by them. I've mentioned a few of them that were of that character, and I'm proud to the extent I represent any of them. I'm proud to be in their company because it is real. And once you've worked in the context of working with some of these folks, and you've seen the heartache and the heartbreak that it represents, and it really does.
I'm scared.
It brings you to a place that you can never forget.
No.
And you can't ignore. And simultaneously, as odd as it may seem, or maybe even paradoxical, it is also very rewarding.
Oh, sure.
Because it gives you a sense that you're really trying to help people that are willing to accept the help. And again, that's not. It's never going to be a 100%.
Right.
Never. Recidivism doesn't work that way. There's too many, as I suggested. There's too many variables. There's too many things going on that influence that composite story, and how we can impact that through education is certainly important. Of course, it is important, and how we can try to, if almost in some sense, reprogram people's belief systems and their behavior and their actions predicated on those beliefs. I think that's certainly a worthy undertaking.
I agree.
But it will never be a 100% perfect project.
But we can keep trying, and that's the great thing.
That's
right?
the great thing. And I mean, you all are doing amazing work.
Yeah,
You're
well-
doing amazing work. And honestly, I mean, this is just my opinion. I don't feel that it's going to get better. I don't know that it's going to get worse, but I don't feel that it's going to get better. I mean, I just think,
People are angry and scared and sad and dealing with stuff.
and it's, I mean, the cost of living right now, I mean, it's hard for people to pay for their groceries, their utilities, and things of that nature. So, in turn, they get angry. And then
the stressors on folks in positions of trying to raise a family and trying to maintain a relationship that you're identifying, of course, are real. And then again, I wish there was more advocacy, quite frankly, about the nature of our environmental influences, the promotion of violence throughout our society.
Yeah.
And look we're reaping the consequence of it every day.
We definitely are.
I mean, it was, you know, I'm of course 100 years old. If anybody needs to keep track of those things, but
You don't look 100.
It was unheard of for me to go to school as a middle school, high school kid. I'm a military child, but we settled in southern Indiana when my father went off to be the oldest Air Force pilot in the Vietnam War. And it was unheard of to ever even consider being fearful someone would bring a gun into a school. Unheard of.
Yeah. Yep.
I've got teenagers in my home I take to school virtually every day. And each time I drop them off, I recognize it might be the last time I ever see them alive. That's the world we are in today in the,
you're not wrong.
In the United States of America.
And you shouldn't have to feel that way.
Yep.
Well,
It was never like that.
All right, so we're going to get back on topic with the Family Service Association. Again, Michael with us with the Nonviolence Education Coordinator. Michael, we appreciate the time today. And if folks are watching and they would like to learn more about your program, or is there any way that we can help you?
Well, of course, you can help. We're very soon going to begin a community coalition, and there'll be more information coming from that Family Service Association about that, trying to coordinate the community-based interest and outreach so people can raise their voice. So it's not just me. When I speak, it's too easy to dismiss someone that has a vested interest, that someone that is sort of involved in programmatically. They can say, well, obviously, you know, that's his interest. That's what he does. If we can get community members to speak up and speak out, that's the importance of any of these community activities. If we can sustain that type of interest, I think it would greatly contribute to an improvement in our own community.
We'll definitely look forward to hearing more about that for sure.
And people can contact us at that Family Service Association. The phone number is 457-9313.
I know the website.
Angie Siski, you know
FSAHC.org, baby.
that's it.
Yeah.
That is the website. Angie Siski's doing a magnificent job as director, and she is absolutely all in supporting our program and in every way possible. And as I said, I've got three colleagues that I just cannot begin to give enough credit to for what they do on behalf of this community. Not just the program, but the service to this community.
Well, proud of the work, and we're happy to have it here in I hate that we have to, but we're glad that we have the resources here in Kokomo and in Howard County. Michael, thank you so much for the time today. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
We're
Good
going to learn more
information.
about Family Service Association, FSAHC.org. Find Michael over at the Family Service Association. He'll be able to help you out.
Thank you all so much.
You bet. Thanks for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
That'll do it for The Ripple Effect. I'm Jessica Ausbrook. This is Kim Graves, and we're from Solidarity Community Federal Credit Union. Thanks for watching.